No, I don't feel like I'm different from anybody. I feel like I'm just like anybody else. I feel like I go put in my 8 hours work a day, work 40 hours a week, maybe 34, 35 hours a week. Come home, my family's waiting for me. Do the same process the next day. No, I think I'm human just like anybody else. I'm going to be treated like the rest.
Chances are good that you've never known or had a real conversation with a person who is mentally retarded. So tonight, we're going to give you an opportunity to listen. We're going to give you the chance to wipe out all those myths and stereotypes that you've accumulated over the years and to formulate some new ideas. We'll introduce you to some of the members of a self-help group called Project 2 and to the man who made it all possible, Mr. Ray Loomis, our Jefferson Award winner of 1979. Project 2 is composed predominantly of mentally retarded adults who come together in meetings like this one to learn about their rights, to share each other's problems, and to enjoy the friendships they have formed. The concept of this group was the brainchild of Ray Loomis, a man who spent 15 long years in the Beatrice State Developmental Center, where scenes like these were not uncommon. For Ray and for other members of the group who have lived in institutions, the memory of that experience will always be strong.
If I'd express it, you'd cut the camera, but the actress ain't no place for nobody. And the actress to me felt like it was a jail, locked up, and should threw the keys away, but they didn't. They made me freedom. Your rights was taken.
Didn't feel very much like a human being there, huh?
No. You don't feel like a human being. You feel like some kind of an animal.
How about education, Jack?
There really wasn't an education out there at all. It's more like a playhouse. Because you go in one room, about 2 minutes you're outside playing games with some girls. Or jumping rope. Then you're back inside in a different room looking at a picture, couple pictures on the wall. Then you're back outside playing some kind of games again.
And I work in a hospital, and I take care of little babies. And waterheads and everything else.
What did you learn when you were there?
I learned lots myself. I teach myself to take care of the babies, you know. To give them love and take care of them and everything. The people bring the babies out and leave them in that place. And when them little babies, they'll not come back to see them no more. And some of them need love.
Sure.
You know.
So you were like a mother to them in a lot of ways, huh?
Yeah, there was one of the main one come up to me, to looking at the door. Everyone know me when I walk in. And them laughing, cutting up with them and everything. One time I really had a spirits. And I said, it was a waterhead. This baby is going to be last. I said to myself. And I got to it. And his head looked funny to me. And I went out and got the nurse. I said, this baby's head looked like it's going to bust. And it did. The water was come way around it and bust. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep a darn bit. He lived from the next day up to 10 o'clock and everything. And now on, I watch, to see anything else happen to them, little things.
A lot of people don't know what's really going on out there. Because one day I was there, the kids, I took a little boy up there. He looked at me and says, that ain't my mom and dad. I said, yes it is. He said, no, that ain't my mom and dad. He was there ever since he was a little baby. And he didn't know his old mother and father. And another thing, the war tents, when they take them over there, they'll sit there and watch them while they have company. I don't think that's being fair either to their clients. I think they should be treated like human beings instead of being treated like some little child. I think they should be able to get out and make it with the rest of us. I don't think that everybody should be locked up in a place like that. If parents really knew what their kids is going through out there, I don't think they'd have put them in there at all.
I think Project 2 is going to have a tremendous impact in the future. Self-advocacy is really probably the most exciting thing that's going on right now in human services. Despite all the technological advances and research advances and new developments in the way services are provided, I think the key to that is self-advocacy and the fact that people are now standing up for their own rights and doing that in a very sophisticated way.
Do you think they're going to have any real political clout?
I don't know whether political clout is necessarily the issue that they're going to be strongest in, but certainly they're going to play a very key role in bringing about some very important changes. For example, the Beatrice State Home, I think they're going to play a very important role in the movement of people out of the Beatrice Home. Not necessarily from a political standpoint or not necessarily from a service standpoint, but probably most importantly from an attitudinal standpoint. Professionals and parents and advocates and legislators can argue the Beatrice State Home issue forever. But nobody can argue with Ray Loomis when he stands up and says, I lived at Beatrice for 15 years, and I think it's a crummy place for people to live. Even if you spend millions of dollars in the institution, making it a prettier place, it's still an institution.
There is by no means unanimity among the members of Project 2 as to whether or not Beatrice should be closed, but all agree that there are many people still in Beatrice who are capable of living on their own.
My group is interested in the Beatrice State Home. Want to know what is going to go on with the Beatrice State Home.
I personally think there is some need for some patients to be served in Beatrice. And I also favor very strongly the community-based programs. The problem we have is funding. The state, I think, has a responsibility to come up with more funds, but we can't write a blank check, and that's one of the difficulties we have in this whole area.
Second.
Actually, I didn't like it out there.
You didn't like it?
No!
I know a lot of them out there that's been there, it shouldn't even be there, really. They're human beings just like the rest of us. I don't see why they should be out there when they could be out here making money and making a living for the rest of themselves.
How many people here came from Beatrice? Okay.
I
Now you're from Norfolk. Okay. Now, is there how many people came from other institutions other than what institution did you come from?
Lincoln.
Lincoln Regional Center.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the feeling of most of this group that Beatrice was not as helpful in terms of?
It wasn't helpful.
Well, how many people feel that way? I'd like to see a show.
I agree with that.
I'm the mother of two kids that was down there, so I know a little bit about it.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have never lived in Beatrice for many years. I've never been in Beatrice. I've been in the community a lot. And I love it, in the community. I'm around friends. And half of these people are from Beatrice. Now, I don't know about their feelings, and my feelings are very strong in my own life and in the community. I want to be like that until the day I do die. How do you feel about that?
I agree with you. The thing of it is, how can you argue with that? I mean, you have to be the most callous individual in the world to say, I think you ought to, go to an institution and stay there. I think anybody that can function or can learn to function in a community-based situation ought to have that opportunity. And I think that's exactly the thing. I'm just saying, my only argument is over how many people are here or there, and I'm saying I'm not willing to talk about numbers. I want to set some other criteria other than just you know, everyone should be in, everyone should be out, this is all white, all black.
I didn't get to go outside. Anytime, any situation of, I had to stay right there and do the work which was untidy wards. I had to strap them poor patients down, day in and day out, night in and night out, in their bed and on the chair, on the bench.
What I was going to say now would be a good suggestion, is to invite Superintendent Wyatt up here and let him know how all of these that are out here working and able to make a little money for themselves feel about being out of there and being more independent than have to be down there doing their dirty work.
Yeah.
Well, that's one way. I'm not sure that's, to be perfectly honest, Mr. Wyatt's got a built-in opinion, and I'm not so terribly sure that you're going to convince him. I think that maybe you might try to convince people that you have a better chance to convince. That's a good place to start. That's right.
Good afternoon, GOARC. May I help you?
As people like Ray leave the institutions, they're not entirely on their own at first. They do get support from organizations like GOARC, the Greater Omaha Association for Retarded Citizens, and NCORE, the Eastern Nebraska Community Office on Retardation.
I think we've really changed the model and the way that services are provided to retarded people. There's a trend toward developmental approach, a positive approach, building on people's strengths instead of seeing people as being unable to accomplish things. A trend towards people living in the community and in society with the rest of the citizens. A trend toward people having more say in the kind of services that they receive, both parents of handicapped people and handicapped people themselves, I think have more of a voice today, and that will increase in the next few years. It's really the direction that we're going, is that people should have more of a voice in their life.
When you first got out, though, was that kind of scary for you?
Yeah, the first 6 months it was, because you didn't know the people, you didn't know what she's going to do, what she's going to run into. You didn't know what kind of reaction they'd give you. Mm-hmm. And about the first 6 months, then after that, it was okay.
Yeah, so it just took your ability to kind of stick it out and realize that you could make it, huh?
That's right. And
were you ever scared that you'd have to go back?
Yes, but I swore to myself I never go back. If you got somebody to watch over you and feed you and that, you always want their help. But if you can prove and show them that you're just as dependent as them, and it makes you feel happy about it, well, that's the best. To my knowledge, that's the best way of being. It's with self-independence. Because I'd hate like heck to have somebody feed me when I'm 50, 60 years old.
First I thought I didn't ever make it. No, I made it. Mm-hmm. I think the rest of them did just as well as I could do.
What was the hardest part? Is it getting a job?
Yeah, that was the roughest part, finding a job.
How was your luck?
No, you got some people. The only thing that you kind of get used to is these cops watching them when they go in these places. A lot of them. I mean, sometimes these cops watching you all the time and seeing what you're doing. I mean, after you once out for about 4 or 5 months, then you can be able to do it. It ain't that hard.
How about the employers that you've had? Have they treated you well? Did you have any discrimination? Did you ever feel like you got turned away?
I've had quite a few of them, but I just overlooked them. Went and looked for another job. Yeah. I figured, well, then you want my help? I said, all right, me, I'll go find another.
I'm making sandwiches, salads, making soup, putting the soups up, and cutting stuff up, makes salads and stuff for us, and I have
Everything they give you, right?
Every time Sam Tolteen set me. Wash pots and pans, clean us up in the kitchen and everything else.
Do you like your work?
I love it. If I can put stuff on me, I'll learn more. Some days I hope I get me another job to work and, that do the same thing. They'll work it so fast and the people can't see.
How do you get along with the other people at work?
Everybody love me, If I ain't right there, they'll be, calling how I am and everything, Everybody tease me. I tease them back and everything.
We've seen a lot of good acceptance once people get to know each other. We've seen landlords who have just been tremendously supportive of retarded people who live in their residences, or employers who are tremendously supportive of retarded people who work for them once they get to know them personally. But I think the term mental retardation scares a lot of people initially and maybe has a lot of negative images with it. But the people, once people get to know each other, they find out that mentally retarded people are people first, and that that's the most important thing about them, not what their handicap is.
Here at Coco's restaurant on Dodge Street, Ray earns his living as a dishwasher. I asked his employer if he would encourage others to hire people like Ray.
I definitely would, because I had a good experience with them, and I think they were good. They are not only conscientious, but they're punctual, and they get good satisfaction from the work they do. I think they feel proud to be productive and being able to get something done. Raymond talks to us quite often, and he tells us about his activities, and I admire him a lot because of how he likes to help out others, and I think he's a terrific guy.
In addition to holding down a job, Ray carries the responsibilities that come with marriage and being a father.
It feels real good to be a father, and it feels good to really have family that you can really say you bring home some money to support them and that, which I know nobody makes too much.
You never make as much as you like.
That's right. And it feels good to come home to a family.
Which that's something you never imagined you'd have either.
No, I've dreamt of having my own family. I've dreamt of having family that I could come home to, and dreamt I'd have a nice life on the outside, but it's not all peaches and cream neither.
No. It's hard work.
It is.
Yeah.
Just much hard work is to stay out of a place like Beatrice as it is to try to get out of Beatrice.
I tried to talk with Ray's wife, Nancy, who has also been active in Project 2, but I didn't have much success. Their 2-year-old son, Billy, had no compunctions about upstaging even his mother.
How was Raven as a father?
Feel good.
Does he spend a lot of time with Billy?
Oh, yes. But Billy don't want to spend a lot of time with him.
He's used to having you around, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. That's why I go to his child parent center on Tuesdays and Thursdays with him. They pick us up and they bring us back.
That's great. Does he get to play with other children his age then?
Yeah, there's kids younger than he is yet there.
He's back.
Can you say something, Billy?
Not yet. Give him time.
But aside from job and family, Ray has devoted the last 3 years of his life to making Project 2 a viable force in this community.
At first it was called Rep Session, but then I changed it to Project 2. I thought that was more formal, than Rep Session.
Okay, well, what kind of group did you have in mind? What were you thinking about?
I was thinking of people that like the handicapped and the mentally retarded, and groups like getting out state institutions and help them and open the doors for somebody who needs help.
When you first started, how many people were there?
I'd say about 3 or 4, maybe 5 people at first. And I don't know, we got about 150, 200 people on the mailing list.
Did you think it would ever amount to anything way back then when you first started?
When I first started, I was scared. I didn't know how it was. And then after a while, a few months, then progress just came.
When Project 2 started, I think it was just, that was it. It was a local group. People were just interested in getting maybe 10 people together to help each other. But what's happened, kind of inadvertently, is that it's become somewhat well-known internationally in a funny way. We have a lot of visitors who come to Omaha to see NCORE programs and CRI and GOAR. And very often they meet with Project 2, and sometimes I feel that one of the most strong impressions that they take away with them is the impression of mentally retarded adults working for themselves and learning about themselves and learning about their rights. It's really neat. I know that there are people in England and Australia and Tunisia and France who have heard about Project 2, so it's kind of neat, as well as a lot of people in our own country.
So it's probably a newer concept than we think, certainly on an international level.
Yes. There's something, there's an organization that was started in Oregon about 4 years ago called People First, and Project 2 is linked with that, and that really was the beginning of this movement in the United States. But somehow Project 2 has taken on its own, or it's gotten its own renown.
Raymond Loomis has been one heck of a good leader, and he's done a lot for us. I think he can keep it going. I mean, I got faith in Raymond. Because when Raymond wants something, like we said, we eat back and wait no more. We're going to start pushing back. We eat back away from no more trouble. Because Ray's helped us one hell of a lot now, and I think he can make it some more.
I guess the thing that's special about Ray, from my point of view, is the fact that Ray does things, right? He doesn't let his apparent lack of ability stand in his way of getting the things done that he wants to do. I think, from my point of view, I wish that I had as much capability, I exhibited as much of my capabilities as Ray does of his. You know, he just does it. He goes out and does it, and that's super. You just don't find better people than that. He's wild.
Ray has a lot of, I guess you would say, common sense that's born of experience. Things he's probably tried a lot of ways of handling life situations, and he's found the best ones, and he's able to communicate that to other people. We'll have a meeting on problem solving, and we'll have a speaker in on problem solving, and people will start talking about what their problems are, and say they have problems at work with their supervisors. And Ray's answer is always something that helps everyone, I think. And like, for example, on problems, he'll say, well, now what I do is I just sit the person down and talk to them. You know, and it's an approach that a lot of us know we should take, but we don't take. So I think that I've learned a lot from Ray myself.
If you don't have a friend, you don't know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And friends is made out of people. And people is friendships. And if you take people and you treat them like an animal, well, they're going to act like one.
Look, I said, I know I got a little bit something wrong with me, you know. And look, people, I'm part of you to see me see anybody else have. You know, if you give your time to me, I show you. You know, all you have to do is show me once. I break my neck, do it for you. I said, just one thing, just don't start to push me around. That's another thing.
people care what they want to do, people care how they want to do it, and they care how they're going to go about it. And if people doesn't have the feeling towards it, or they don't care, then it's not up to nobody else to care what you do.
Now, a lot of the work that you've done is being recognized tonight by this Jefferson Award. How did you feel when you first found out?
Just like I told my wife when I first seen it advertised on TV. Told her, I said, if I'd won one of them, I wouldn't know what to do. And I didn't at first.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like any other award. You're proud to win it. Makes you feel good. And you know you've accomplished quite a bit.
And then you keep on working, right?
And you keep on working that much more harder.
These letters piled on the desk are the 180 nominations that KETV received this year for the Jefferson Awards. And as you can well imagine, each one contains a heartwarming story of personal dedication and generosity. And certainly none of these people are losers in the traditional sense of the word. But our panel of judges voted unanimously that Ray Loomis would be our Jefferson Award winner. And we hope by now you understand why. Ray was successful in his personal struggle to become a human being in the fullest sense of the word and to become an accepted member of this community. But he wasn't happy with his own personal success. He was determined that others like him would share that same sense of accomplishment and human dignity. This book, which is published by the American Institute for Public Service, the co-sponsor of the Jefferson Awards, has a quote in it that I would like to share with you. It's written by a newspaper publisher in Tennessee, and he says, "Rights and liberties are never secure, are never won. They are always in the process of being won and always in the process of being made secure." Ray Loomis understands the meaning of those words, and because of that, he'll keep on fighting, and he'll keep reminding all of us that we are people first.
If we could all overcome our fears, like Ray has overcome his fears and his problems, what a tremendous place this world would be. It would be absolutely fantastic. Just no doubt in my mind.